For 1,000 years, the galaxy was silent. No war, no fighting, no blood. All the big alien empires had agreed. Peace was better. Weapons were locked away. Armies were disbanded. People believed that war would never return. Many new generations were born during this peaceful time. They only read about war in old history books. They watched stories and movies about soldiers and battles, but never thought it could be real. War was just a shadow of the past. The galaxy became soft and relaxed. But one species did not forget: humans. While the rest of the galaxy sang songs of peace, humans trained their soldiers in secret. On Earth, deep under mountains and inside space stations, simulations of war continued. Military schools never closed. Scientists still worked on new defense systems. Humans smiled with the world, but behind that smile, they were watching, always ready. Many aliens thought humans were strange. Why keep armies when there was no war? Why waste time with training and weapons? But the humans never answered. They just said, "We hope we never need them." And then, something happened. A new alien empire came from deep space. No one had seen them before. They called themselves the Varnuk Empire. Their ships were sharp, black, and fast. They didn't speak. They didn't send messages. They attacked without warning. The first planet they destroyed was a farming world called Kilara 5. No weapons, no defense, only farmers and their families. The attack lasted just 12 minutes. Kilara 5 was turned into dust. The galaxy was shocked. Screams filled the comms. Every alliance leader came together for an emergency meeting. The peaceful civilizations were scared. No one remembered how to fight. No one had a working army. They had only peace treaties, soft leaders, and old memories. The Varnuk did not stop. They destroyed another planet, and another. No demands, no reason, just destruction. "We must call the humans," one alien leader said. "But they are like us now." "Peaceful," another replied. "No," said an old Czarn diplomat. "They never stopped. They just waited." A message was sent to Earth. It was simple: "Help us. War has returned." Earth received the message. Everyone waited. Some thought the humans would panic. Others believed they would ignore it. But humans answered quickly. The message they sent back shocked the galaxy. It was only two things: a short sentence, "We were waiting for this," and a laugh emoji. The alien leaders were confused. Was this a joke? Was it a mistake? The Supreme Chancellor of the Ulari system said, "Are they laughing at war?" The answer came the next day. A large human ship appeared above the capital planet of the Alliance. It was huge, like a black mountain floating in space. It had no weapons visible, but it gave off a strange energy. Inside, a human general waited. Alien diplomats were invited onto the ship. They entered, scared and quiet. The human general stood tall in a dark uniform. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "Why are you not afraid?" one alien asked. The general smiled. "Because we trained for this moment. 1,000 years of peace. That's good, but peace is a dream. War is always watching." "But we forgot how to fight," said the alien leader. The general walked to a large screen. He showed them simulations, millions of them, battles, strategies, enemy behavior, even models of possible alien attacks. The humans had prepared for everything. "We never stopped learning," the general said. "We just didn't show it." "But why?" the Ulari Chancellor asked. The general looked out of the window at the stars. "Because humans have a saying: if you want peace, prepare for war." A long silence filled the room. Then the general added, "Tell us everything about the Varnuk. We'll handle the rest." The aliens left the ship, both relieved and afraid. They came expecting help, but what they saw was something else. They saw a predator that had been sleeping, and now it was awake. That night, Across the galaxy, a strange feeling returned. It was something the universe had forgotten. Hope, but also fear, because the storm was coming. And this time, humans were leading it. The galaxy was changing. The peaceful races, who once laughed and danced under the stars, were now silent. Fear had returned after 1,000 years. The Varnuk Empire was moving fast. Planet after planet, system after system. Their black ships spread like poison. But now, all eyes turned to one place, Earth. The human general who met the alien leaders had sent a message across the alliance. We will protect the galaxy, but on our terms. Some alien leaders were confused. Others were worried. What did "on our terms" mean? So, a small team of diplomats from different species, Yulari, Zarn, Pelari, and even the quiet insect-like Drax, traveled to Earth. They wanted answers. They wanted to understand these humans who had prepared for war, while everyone else slept in peace. The ship landed on Earth near an old human military base, hidden deep in snowy mountains. The place looked quiet, too quiet. But as the aliens entered, they saw the truth. Thousands of soldiers were training, running, fighting, shooting. But these were not like the soldiers from old stories. They moved faster, smarter, like they already knew what the enemy would do before the enemy did. "Is this real?" asked the Zarn diplomat. "Very real," said their human guide, smiling. "And this is just one base." They were led inside a building filled with screens, maps, and machines. There were rooms for hand-to-hand combat, spaceflight simulations, even alien language training. One room showed holograms of Varnuk ships. Humans were analyzing every detail. In the command room, the same general from the Alliance ship stood waiting. His name was General Aiden Cross. He nodded as the diplomats entered. "Welcome to Earth," or should I say, "welcome back to reality." The Drac representative, clicking in its insect voice, asked, "Why did you prepare for war in secret?" General Cross replied calmly, "We didn't hide it. You just didn't want to see." "But why continue when there was peace?" asked the Yulari leader. Cross pointed to a large screen. It showed Earth's violent history, world wars, invasions, destruction. "Because we know peace never lasts forever. We lived through many wars. We suffered, but we learned." The screen changed again, this time, showing human soldiers helping in disasters, saving lives, building cities. "So, we made a promise. Next time, we'll be ready, not to destroy, but to protect." The aliens were silent. Then the Pelari ambassador said, "You trained your people for a war that might never come." Cross walked over to a glass case. Inside was an old weapon from Earth's past. A rifle, rusted but well kept. "We humans remember pain, and we don't forget the cost of peace. That's why we trained in secret, not for power, for balance." Outside, the diplomats watched as a group of human children practiced coding battle drones in a school. Young minds, already learning strategy and defense. The Zarn was shocked. "Even your children." "We don't teach them to fight," the human guide said. "We teach them to survive." Later, the aliens were shown a vast underground command center. Here, AI systems ran thousands of battle simulations every day. Each simulation tested what might happen if different alien races turned hostile. One AI called Sentinel greeted the diplomats. "Hello, I am Sentinel. My purpose is to predict war before it begins." "Why do you expect betrayal?" asked the Drac. "Not betrayal," said Sentinel. "Probability. Peace without preparation is a dream. We choose to live in reality." As the visit ended, General Cross gave each diplomat a simple device. It looked like a small cube. "What is this?" the Yulari asked. "It's a beacon," Cross said. "If your planet is under attack, press it. We will come." The aliens looked at him in surprise. "You would risk your people for us?" asked the Pelari. Cross looked serious. Yes, because this is our galaxy too. And we will not let monsters like the Varnock take it. The diplomats returned to their ships, full of new thoughts. They had come to Earth expecting soldiers and weapons. But what they saw was something else. Discipline, history, preparedness, mercy. The humans were not just warriors. They were guardians, silent ones, waiting in the shadows. Their laughter at war was not a joke, it was a warning. As their ships left Earth's orbit, one Zarn diplomat said quietly, "They never forgot the past, and that's why they may save our future." The storm was growing. But now, the galaxy had a sword. And its name was humanity. Far away from Earth, deep inside Varnock territory, something strange began to happen. One by one, their outer bases stopped responding. First, a mining outpost near the edge of their space. Then, a warship station near a gas giant. No warning, no explosions, no signs of battle, just silence. Warlord Scar stood in front of a giant screen in his command chamber. His claws tapped the metal floor. His red eyes were full of rage. "Where are our ships? Where are our soldiers?" he roared. His commanders looked nervous. "We don't know," one of them whispered. There were no distress signals. "It's like they vanished." Scar turned to his tech advisor, who was sweating. "Sir, we checked every system. The security cameras stopped at the same time. At every base, all power systems were cut. From the inside." Scar's face twisted. "Inside? Are you saying it was sabotage?" "No, Warlord," the advisor said. "I'm saying it was something else. Something beyond us." Scar growled. "Nothing is beyond the Varnock." But even as he shouted, more messages arrived. Another outpost, gone. Another ship, missing. In only 3 days, 12 Varnock stations had gone completely silent. Far across space, on a hidden human base inside an asteroid, a team of Earth's top agents watched the chaos unfold. One of them, a calm woman named Elena Frost, smiled as she read the intercepted Varnock messages. "They're confused," she said. "Exactly as planned." Beside her, a cyber specialist named Jin added, "Their systems are 50 years behind us. We shut them down without a sound. They think it's ghosts." The human AI, Sentinel, spoke next. Its voice was smooth and cold. "Fear spreads faster than fire. Varnock pride is their weakness, and we are using it well." Captain Raina Black, leader of the strike team, stepped forward. "We hit them where it hurts, not with bullets, but with silence. And now they're starting to panic." She looked at the map. It showed the Varnock Empire with blinking red zones, places the humans had already disabled, and were just getting started. On one of the damaged Varnock worlds, a soldier named Vakrun was searching the remains of a command station. Everything was off. Lights, computers, power cores. The walls were cold, and the floors were still. No signs of a fight. But on one screen, a message was left behind. A human symbol, a simple white shield with a blue star. Below it, words written in Galactic Common. "We see you." Vakrun froze. His scales tightened with fear. He sent the image to command. Within minutes, panic spread. The Varnock didn't understand. Why weren't the humans attacking directly? Why didn't they send armies? Warlord Scar held a meeting with his top warlords. The room was filled with shouts. "They're playing games. They're trying to break our minds. They're laughing at us." Scar finally slammed his hand down. "No more games," he said. "We will strike Earth directly. We will remind them who rules this galaxy." But someone in the room stood up slowly. It was Advisor Talonra, an old strategist known for deep thinking. "Warlord, that is exactly what they want." Scar turned. "What are you saying?" Talonra looked calm. "They are not fighting to win. They are fighting to change the battlefield. We are swinging swords at shadows. And soon, We will be blind. Scar growled. Then we burn the shadows. Talanra said nothing. But in his heart, he feared something terrible. The humans were not afraid, because they were already in control. Back on the hidden human base, Alina Frost looked at new reports. 10 more bases silent. No casualties. No damage. Just shut down. Jin laughed. And still, they think we're joking. Captain Reyna nodded. Let them. The more they laugh at us, the harder they'll fall. She pointed to the next target, a massive Varnuk military lab hidden beneath a mountain. It's time, she said. Let's make them question everything they believe in. As the humans moved quietly through space, never seen, never heard, the Varnuk Empire started to break from within. Fear, confusion, doubt. The perfect weapons. And the humans had mastered them. The Varnuk still believed in war made of fire and blood. But humans had discovered a different kind of war. One made of silence, of shadows, of fear. And it was working. The Varnuk Empire was growing fast. Black ships moved through space like angry shadows. Planet after planet was taken. Entire systems fell silent. No one could stop them. Fear spread like fire. But the humans were not afraid. They were waiting. On Earth, inside a deep underground command center, General Aiden Cross stood in front of a large screen. Behind him were his top commanders. In front of him were holograms of every Varnuk ship, every base, every planet they had captured. The room was silent. Then, General Cross spoke. It's time. The first move began with silence. Thousands of tiny human-made drones, invisible to the eye, entered Varnuk space. These were not weapons. They were eyes, machines designed to watch, listen, and learn. They flew past enemy ships without being seen. They entered buildings. They listened to commanders. They recorded passwords. Every detail was sent back to Earth in real time. Human AIs like Sentinel and Athena worked day and night, scanning the data. Weak points were found. Patterns discovered. Within 1 week, the humans knew more about the Varnuk than the Varnuk knew about themselves. Then, the real counterattack began. Without warning, 30 Varnuk bases went dark in one night. No explosions, no deaths, no battles, just silence. Varnuk soldiers ran through their bases, confused. Their ships didn't move. Their computers didn't respond. Doors wouldn't open. Power was gone. Communication failed. Panic spread. In the Varnuk war room, their leaders shouted, "Is it sabotage? Who did this?" But they got no answer. Only one word flashed across every dark screen. Hello. At the same time, in orbit around a Varnuk planet, a small human ship appeared. It was not a warship. It had no weapons on the outside. But the Varnuk could feel it. The ship was dangerous. Inside, a human pilot named Captain Reyna Black smiled and said to her crew, "They still don't understand what's coming." The Varnuk tried to attack. Their ships launched missiles. But the human ship moved like water, turning, dodging, vanishing. It was using tech never seen before. No one had a chance to hit it. Then the humans replied. They didn't fire weapons. Instead, they sent a wave of signals. Varnuk ships froze. Their targeting systems shut down. Engines died. Screens went black. One Varnuk commander screamed, "Are we under attack?" "No," said his engineer, shaking. "We've already lost." Back on Earth, the Alien Alliance leaders were watching everything through a live feed. They could not believe what they were seeing. "You shut down 30 enemy bases in one night?" the Ulari Chancellor asked. General Cross nodded. "We could have destroyed them. But that's not the mission." "Then what is the mission?" asked the Pelari. "To teach them fear," Cross replied. "The kind they gave others." The alien leaders were quiet. They had seen war in old books, in stories. But this This was something else. It was surgical, precise, terrifying. One Drac leader whispered, "This is not war. This is control." Meanwhile, on the ground of one of the shut-down Varnak bases, human boots finally touched the surface. Soldiers walked calmly through the base. No guns raised, no killing. They collected data, marked enemy technology, and left. Before leaving, they left a message on the wall. "We could have ended you. This is your warning." The Varnak were in chaos. They had never seen an enemy like this. They were used to strength, fire, blood, explosions. But humans fought with something more dangerous: intelligence. For the first time, Varnak leaders hesitated. They didn't send more ships. They didn't attack another planet. They waited. They were trying to understand what just happened. Back on Earth, the human people watched the news with quiet pride. Soldiers were respected. Scientists were heroes. Even children sent drawings and messages to the troops. A child's message went viral across the Alliance. "Dear soldier, thank you for scaring the monsters without hurting them." That one sentence touched many hearts, because that was the truth. Humans could have killed, but they chose mercy. And that mercy was the scariest part. Because if humans showed this kind of power with kindness, what would happen if they ever got truly angry? The Varnak Empire was learning the hard way. The galaxy had awakened its old warrior, and this warrior didn't come to destroy. It came to protect. But only once. The Varnak Empire had never known fear. For centuries, they had crushed every enemy. Their technology was powerful. Their ships were unstoppable. They believed war was simple. Destroy everything, and you win. But now, they were scared. Their bases were shut down without a shot. Their systems were hacked. Their ships were frozen. And the enemy had left a message: "This is your warning." The Varnak High Council gathered in their dark war chamber. Black stone walls surrounded them. Flames lit the room, as they always did during war. But this time, the fire felt cold. "They didn't kill a single soldier," growled Warlord Scar, leader of the Varnak military. "They came in, shut us down, and walked away like ghosts." "They made us look weak," said another. "Our people are starting to question us." Warlord Scar slammed his fist on the table. "Who are these humans? Why do they laugh at war?" The room was silent. An old advisor stood and spoke softly, because they remember pain. They know what war really is. And they're showing us mercy. That's the scariest weapon of all. Scar hissed, "Then we take that mercy and burn it." But not everyone agreed. Some Varnak leaders had started to fear more than just human weapons. They feared what humans might do if pushed too far. "We cannot understand their minds," said one scientist. "They don't attack like us. They don't think like us. They have emotions, strategy, patience, and humor," said another. "They laugh in the middle of war." The scientist showed a screen of intercepted human communications, soldiers joking, pilots laughing, generals smiling. They're calm, relaxed, even when flying into danger. Scar snarled, "That's not calm. That's arrogance." But deep down, he wasn't sure. On the edge of Varnak space, a small human fleet appeared near a Varnak colony planet. The people there were not soldiers. They were workers, builders, families. They panicked. "Will they destroy us?" Someone cried. But the humans did not fire. Instead, they dropped food, medicine, and communication devices. Then they left. A single message played on every screen: "We do not kill the innocent, but if you keep following monsters, we'll return as something worse." The message spread like fire. Varnak civilians began asking questions. Are humans really our enemy? Or are they trying to save us from our own leaders? Rebellion began to grow. On 3 Varnak-controlled planets, the people stopped obeying orders. They refused to fight. They painted human symbols on buildings, hoping they would be spared. Warlord Scar was furious. "Crush them," he shouted. "Kill anyone who speaks the human name." But when his ships arrived at those planets, they found nothing. The rebels were gone, hidden, protected by humans. In one secret base, deep under the surface of a stolen Varnock moon, human operatives were helping Varnock families escape the war. A human soldier gave water to a Varnock child. The child looked up and asked, "Why are you helping us?" The soldier smiled. "Because not every war is about killing. Some wars are about saving." Back in the Varnock Council, Scar screamed, "They're not just fighting us. They're breaking us." A new voice spoke from the shadows. It was a former Varnock general, Talon Ra, once famous for burning 10 cities in a day. Now he walked with a limp and spoke with a calm voice. "War is not what it used to be," Talon Ra said. "We were lions once. Now we are children playing with fire." Scar shouted, "What are you saying? That we surrender?" "No," said Talon Ra. "I'm saying we don't understand what we're facing." He pointed to a human symbol on the screen, a simple blue shield with a white star. "That is not just a flag. It is a warning. The humans are not just fighting to win. They are fighting to protect the galaxy from us, and they're doing it without hate." The room fell quiet again. Warlord Scar sat down. His claws shook. Fear had finally reached the heart of the Varnock Empire. Not fear of death, not fear of loss, fear of the unknown. The humans were like a storm with a mind, unstoppable, but choosing not to destroy. Yet, that choice made them more terrifying than any weapon. Because now, the Varnock knew the truth. Humans were not laughing because they were weak. They were laughing because they were ready. The galaxy was holding its breath. The Varnock Empire was no longer attacking. Their warships had stopped moving. Their bases were silent. Inside their darkest command rooms, the leaders whispered instead of shouting. Fear had done something war never could. It made the monsters stop. But Earth was not done. In the human command center, deep beneath the ice of Antarctica, General Aiden Cross stood in front of the world's leaders. Screens showed every Varnock world. Ships hovered, ready for war. But the humans were not launching. They were waiting. Behind General Cross stood scientists, soldiers, diplomats, and AIs like Sentinel. These were the minds who had planned every move, who had stopped a galactic empire without firing a single missile at civilians. A message was ready. It would be sent across the galaxy. Not just to the Varnock, but to every planet, every species, every being that still had ears to hear and eyes to watch. General Cross stepped forward. The cameras began to record. To the Varnock Empire, and to anyone else watching. You wanted war. You built your empire through fear. You thought strength came from fire, pain, and blood. He paused, voice calm. But you were wrong. You thought humans were weak because we disappeared after peace. You thought we were finished. But we were not gone. We were preparing. Not for war, but for something worse. For the day when peace would break. For the moment when someone like you would rise again. You tried to burn the galaxy. We turned your fire into light. You shut down voices. We turned your silence into songs. You thought we would beg for mercy. Instead, we laughed. Because we saw what was coming. And we were already ready. The screen changed. Images appeared. Human children studying alien languages. Soldiers training in space without gravity. Drones flying into battle without a single life lost. A human mother helping a wounded Varnock child. A Varnock rebel wearing a human emblem on his chest. General Cross continued. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to destroy. We are here to balance the galaxy. And we offer you, one last time, a choice. Stand down. Return what you have stolen. Free the worlds you have crushed. Stop this war while we still let you. Because next time, we won't stop. Across the galaxy, screens flashed with this message. In the Varnock capital, millions watched in silence. Even Warlord Scar stood still, his claws frozen midair. The message wasn't loud. It didn't scream. It didn't need to. It was calm, sharp, unshakable, and that made it more terrifying than any weapon. At the end of the message, something unexpected happened. The screen went black. Then a single image appeared. An old Earth photo. It showed a soldier holding a child during a war, his face dirty, his arms shaking, but his eyes full of kindness. Underneath it, one final line. We remember what war costs. That's why we will never let it happen again. The message ended, and the galaxy changed. On Varnock worlds, rebellions grew stronger. People stopped obeying cruel leaders. Many dropped their weapons and walked away. In the Varnock High Command, arguments broke out. Some demanded more war, but others, many others, stood up and said the unthinkable. Maybe the humans are right. Within days, some Varnock planets surrendered. They opened their doors to peace. Others sent secret messages to Earth. Help us. We don't want this war. Back on Earth, General Cross stood by a window, looking at the stars. He knew it wasn't over yet. The Varnock still had power, still had anger. There could be more fighting ahead. But something important had changed. Now the galaxy believed in humans again. Not because of fire, not because of power, but because of something stronger. Hope. As the stars turned and silence returned to space, one line echoed across every ship, every world, every station. The humans are not just soldiers. They are the shield of peace and the sword of last resort. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy felt safe again. The galaxy had changed forever. After the human message, everything seemed different. No one expected the peaceful message of the humans to break the Varnock Empire. But that was exactly what it did. The Varnock Empire, once so proud and powerful, was crumbling. Its soldiers, once fierce and unstoppable, began to lay down their weapons. The citizens of Varnock planets, who had lived in fear for so long, finally saw a glimmer of hope. They looked at the humans and wondered, could this really be the future? And on Earth, General Aiden Cross stood by his command center, looking out into space. It was silent, but it was the kind of silence that felt like peace, not fear. On a distant Varnock world, a rebel leader named Karen stood before a crowd. Behind him were Varnock soldiers, now wearing the human emblem on their armor. They had all chosen peace, choosing to follow the human's path. Today, Karen said, we choose life over destruction. We choose freedom over fear. We choose to stand with the humans. The crowd cheered. It was the first time in many years that the people of Varnock had spoken with hope, not fear. In the human capital of Earth, the world watched as the leaders of the Alliance came together. They spoke of peace, of rebuilding the broken systems, of working together. And for the first time in history, the words unity and peace were spoken with genuine belief. General Cross addressed the crowd that had gathered to hear him. For too long, the galaxy was ruled by fear and power. But today, we stand here united. We are not just humans. We are the future of this galaxy. We will not let war define us. We will let peace define us. The crowd erupted in cheers. Back in the Varnock capital, Warlord Scar stood alone in his chamber, staring at the empty war room. He remembered the past, the battles, the victories, the feeling of power. But now, it all felt hollow. His empire was broken, and though he had once believed in its strength, he now realized how fragile it had all been. In the distance, he heard voices, Varnock rebels, calling for a new beginning. And for the first time, he did not raise his weapons. He stayed silent. Meanwhile, in the outer reaches of the galaxy, former enemies began to meet in peace. The Drak, the Ulari, the Pilari, all of them sat down with humans at the table of diplomacy. No longer were they enemies. Now they were allies. One of the Uluri leaders, who had once doubted humans, spoke with admiration. "We thought you were like every other race. We were wrong. You are different." A Pilari ambassador nodded. "You have the courage to choose peace. That is what makes you strong." Human representatives smiled. "It's not about strength," one said. "It's about understanding. It's about knowing that we are all part of this galaxy. We are all connected." The Varnak who once destroyed entire planets now stood beside humans in cooperation. The galaxy, once divided by war and fear, was now united by the same goal: peace. The human message had been clear, and it had shaken the foundations of every empire. The galaxy had been reminded that peace could be stronger than war, and that the power to destroy was nothing compared to the strength to protect. As the humans and their new allies worked to rebuild the broken worlds, new cities were born. Trade, knowledge, and culture flowed between the planets, bringing new hope. The people of every race began to realize that they were not just living in separate worlds anymore. They were living in one united galaxy. In a quiet corner of space, a small human ship passed by a once destroyed Varnak planet. The ship had no weapons, no shields. It was simply a vessel of peace, a symbol of everything that had changed. Inside, Captain Raina Black stood by the window, looking at the stars. She smiled, knowing that the war was finally over. The galaxy had found its peace, but more than that, it had found its future. And that future was full of hope. General Cross stood at the same window he had looked out of so many times. The stars were quiet now. The galaxy was quiet, but there was no fear in the silence. There was only peace. For the first time, the galaxy was truly free. The storm had passed. The humans had answered the call to protect, not by fire, but with hope. And with that hope, they had created a new age for all the races in the galaxy. The Age of Peace. The end.